Hi there everybody, it's Martin Twycross here with another talk. Today's video is an address that I did during an online service at a Spiritualist church. In the address I talk about my own story and how I came to Spiritualism, and the role that two of the members of the church played in my own story. I use it also to illustrate that when we give service to others, when we offer ourselves freely to help others, the benefits that brings ripples out far beyond what we imagine. So I do hope that you enjoy the video, and I do hope they get lots from it. Thank you very much. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's so lovely to be here with you in Berkeley Spiritualist Church. Now, some of you will be wondering from my accent where I hail from, and it would probably shock most of you to know that I'm actually a local boy from Euston. But I actually moved down to London I moved down south when I was 19, and I ended up in London when I was 21. So the accent is not quite what it used to be, man. You know, I can still put it back on a bit when I try, but it's a bit not really right, is it? No. We can do, but if it ends up happening like that as the service goes on, so be it. So I used to live about 1.5 miles away from where your church is. I have visited your church a number of times. And so it's always a pleasure to be asked to serve a church. And when it came up as Berkeley Church, it's like, well, I know where that is. I've been there. And it's a pleasure to come and serve you. And I want to share a story with you, part of my own story as to how I came to Spiritualism, but also to show you how the actions of people who work within our movement, and even the actions of those outside of the movement, can touch others and help guide them on their own pathway and help make them a different person. So in 2001, my mum, who lived in Euston, she got ill with cancer, and then she had a massive stroke, and it was a pretty severe stroke, and it wasn't looking good. And she was in the QA hospital in Gateshead, which I'm sure many of you will be aware of. And at the time I was living in London, and I came up to the northeast, and I was there, and I felt very much inspired. I had to find a spiritualist healer to give my mum healing. Not just a spiritual healer or a Reiki healer, but a spiritualist healer. So I found the internet and Googled spiritualism, and I ended up talking to the SNU head office, and they said, we'll try and find somebody. And a lady called Nora Shaw, who I'm sure many of you will know, she contacted me, and she put me in touch. She arranged for some healers to come to the hospital from your very church. Bill Fiddis came with Jean Devine. I don't know if many of you will remember Jean, but she came along and she gave my mum some absolutely beautiful healing. And I could see the difference it made in that moment. I could see the change that took place. And she came back a number of times. I know she is now in spirit, sadly. But I know that Bill is still your president. So they came to the hospital a few times, and Jean gave my mum healing. And I knew what a change it was making to her. And I myself, strangely, I just knew within my mind the exact time my mum was going to pass. And like you do, you tell the family, we've all got to be there at this day, at this time in the morning, because that's when mum's going to pass. And they look at you as if you're stupid. They look at you as if you've gone mad and taken leave of your senses, which they do, which is normal, really. So on the allotted night, at the allotted time, there's nobody else in attendance because everyone thought I was mad. Even the doctors and nurses were saying, get yourself away home, man, she's gone anywhere, and other such words. And at the allotted time, as it came close, nurses and doctors said, oh my God, she's going. And they rang my dad, my brothers, but there wasn't time for them to come to the hospital in time. So I had the privilege of sitting with my mum and helping her to pass, which if anyone's ever done that, it truly is a privilege. And at the exact moment she passed, I just knew I hadn't lost her. I knew within my entire being I hadn't lost her. So I thought, well, what do I do? So I sent the thoughts to her, well, if you're still alive, Mum, you've got to come and see me. I'm going to find a medium, find a spiritualist church, come and see me. So I had to stay in the northeast for a little while to sort out the funeral and things. And then finally, when I got back home to where I live in Hampton Hill in southwest London, I found a local spiritualist church. And it was about 3 weeks after my mum passed. And I went along and sat in the back corner. I was quite skeptical in those days. It took a lot to convince me. I've got a very scientific background. I have a degree in physics, just to give you a bit of an idea. So I've got quite an analytical, scientific background. If you're going to tell me you're communicating with spirit, you better be willing to prove it. So I was sat in the back corner of the church like you do, wondering what on earth's going on in this church. And the medium, during the demonstration, was coming to the gentleman in the back corner with his arms folded. And I'm thinking, well, who is that? And it was me. And he brought my mum through. He brought information through that no one would have known. He spoke about the last moments I shared with it and what I'd said. He brought through so much evidence which totally, in that moment, convinced me. And then he said something very strange at the end. He said, and by the way, you're going to be a medium too. And I was like, no chance. Never. That's not what I want to do. I was the person at school who refused to go on stage. All the school plays and things, I would never do any of that. I was scared of standing up in public and talking to people. Wouldn't do it. No chance. But anyway, the church said to me, why don't you come along tomorrow night? It's open platform. You might get another link. So I did. And my granddad came through the next night with really good evidence. In the space of 2 days, I had more evidence than a lot of people would get in multiple trips to a church. I felt so lucky. I knew categorically there was life after death. But also, I knew the power of mediumship, of healing, to touch people, to touch souls, to uplift, to help. So by the end of that year, I'd signed up to become a healer. I decided I wanted to do healing as well. I was very touched with what Jean did. So she played a part in me becoming a healer. And now it's 20 years since I've been doing healing. And healing is a really important part of my life. And I started attending circles within about a month of attending the church. And within a couple of months, I gave my first link. Within 18 months, the circle leader invited me on platform with her to start working as a medium, which is very quick, I know. And I said, I'm not ready. No way am I ready. I probably wasn't ready, but I went on platform and I did it. And it worked. And here I am now, 18 years later, and it still works. It never ceases to amaze me, the power of spirit. My life today is nothing like how my life used to be 20 years ago. I wasn't a particularly spiritual person. Perhaps I wasn't a particularly nice person. Perhaps I didn't always do things that helped others. But now I'm a changed man. It's like being a born-again spiritualist. It's like going from somebody who wasn't spiritual in outlook in any way to somebody who's most of his time. I also help run a church in my local church, which I've been on the committees for the last 17 years as well. Been one of the officers for too many years. I'm the treasurer because nobody else wants to do the money and the maths. So they give that to me. Once you're a treasurer, no one wants to take it off you. So stuck with treasurer I am. But what I want to say to you is, back then in 2001, when Bill and Jean came to that hospital, little did they know that they were helping my mum and they were helping me. And little did they know that their work for spirit would inspire others to go out and chart their own course, serving spirit. Little did they know that they were a player in a production, if you like, a play, where lots of different people have played their role to create me here and now as the medium that stands in front of you. So I'm very grateful to Bill, very grateful to Jean, and that's what I want to say with my address here, that I dedicated to them, to the help they gave my mum, which I know had a profound effect on her and helped her to pass in peace. Sometimes we can't always change what takes place, but the power of the spirit and the power of healing is such there will always be some positive effects, some profound effects. So ladies and gentlemen, that's what I want to share with you today. No matter what you do with your actions, they have the potential to touch others. And I must have given healing myself to many hundreds of people. I've demonstrated hundreds and hundreds of times. I've given contact in spiritualist churches and platforms to many, hundreds of people, probably getting on for 1,000 people. So the work one person does creates a cascade effect which helps others. Never underestimate the power of your actions, the power of your service to others, and how it can inspire, uplift, and create that wave of light, that wave of love, that wave of goodwill that touches souls. Thank you. If you found this video helpful, then do hit the like button. Do leave me a comment, and if you like the content that I produce, do subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to seeing you all again in the next one.